Lessons from prison. So, I started my career in prison in 1995. Crazy, huh? Seems like just yesterday. And there are so many lessons that I've learned. I thought today it might, maybe a good topic for today would be my favorite lesson, or one of my favorite lessons that I learned from prison that has been so valuable in my life on the outside as well as on the inside. I never intended to work in prison. It wasn't my goal or idea to work in prison. In 1995, I wanted to be a drug counselor in the first Women's in Prison program. I was just graduating with my bachelor's degree from Cal State San Bernardino, and I was 5 years clean and sober, and I wanted to be a drug counselor. Not in prison per se, but my dad pushed me, my stepdad pushed me to apply because he was on the Citizens Advisory Board for the prison in Norco, California. So reluctantly, I applied because I really did not want to work in a state prison. I had been inside there before, and it was terrifying to me, even though it was only level 2. Yeah, I used to help my parents hand out food at these things called food sales they had inside, where the inmates could buy food at an astronomical price. And I believe the profits went to the victims fund, people that were hurt by people in prison. So I had gone in there before as a citizen and helped pass out food, and it was not a pretty place. Yeah, and I had handed out food to the men. At that time, it was a men and women's prison, both, but I only hand out food to the men. And it made me extremely uncomfortable. There's no way I was even going to work there. One of the lieutenants even one day said, "You should come be an officer." I was like, oh, hell no. But then a few years later, after helping them hand out food a couple times, there's an ad in the paper for a drug counselor in prison for the first women's program in prison. That's how I applied for that and ended up getting the job. Not as a counselor, because I didn't have an experience and I didn't look like a recovering dope fiend. So I didn't fit that bill, having enough experience there, but they hired me as their intake counselor. So I got to screen the women in prison. That was a really cool job. You know, so the women had the first in-house substance abuse program. The women had to want to be there. They had to have no acts of violence, and it was for people that wanted it. And later on, they started forcing people, and then it wasn't good anymore. So, recovery is never good if you force someone. It's got to be their own idea, or it just doesn't work. So, anyhow, all these years in prison, you know, there's one thing that I really appreciate that it taught me, and that is the power of my presence, the power of our presence. So, when I was in training as a cadet, they taught us to have command presence. You know, I don't even remember how they taught us, but basically when you walk in a room, you know, it's chest out confidence and how to have that command presence. Because where I work in level 2, you're in charge of 100 men, one officer to 100 guys. You know, and your presence matters. How you carry yourself is everything. They're not in cells, so to me it's more dangerous. You know, it's you're outnumbered by far, and your communication and the way you carry yourself, and whether you're firm, fair, and consistent, whether you treat them with respect, you know, determines how your day is going to go. I really value what it taught me there, and about your presence. Your presence matters. Your presence in anybody's life matters. Your presence at an event matters. I'm at an event right now. So excited to be at this event in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm getting ready to go to sleep. And I wanted to make this video for you real quick, tell you a prison story, and just how your presence matters. It's not really a story, more of a concept, you know. A story, when I think of story, one that comes to mind one time was when this one guy just scared the bejeebies out of me. I was doing my locker searches. You know, we do these random searches, required to do 5 a day at least, and only 5 out of 100. You know, it's pretty cool. You know, of course we do other random searches, but we're supposed to, but at least 5, log them in, and thorough searches of lockers. And I was in doing that, and was confiscating a aloe vera leaf. It had these thorns on it and something he wasn't supposed to have, and I was taking that. Not a major big deal, I thought. Boy, was I wrong. I had come walking out with my stuff, and he kicks the locker. What the hell are you doing taking my aloe vera? I need that. I was like, one on the outside, one on the inside. So one thing in prison, you gotta remain calm no matter what's going on. So inside I was freaking out, watching him throw a tantrum, like a ginormous 3-year-old. He was very big, very tall and big, and he was kicking the locker and making a lot of noise, and he was pissed that I took his aloe vera plant. Now, I let him yell and scream and observed him, and when I got a moment to speak, I said, do I need to hit my alarm? Do I need some help? So you're not supposed to have this. And very, very humbly, he said, no, you know, I'm fine, you know. And it was kind of funny. I thought it was funny. Thank goodness, because I was wedged. I wasn't in a good spot either. I was in between. They had these bunk beds, and I was in between the bunk beds, and I was totally, I had no egress route. So he was blocking my egress route between the bunks, and there was a window on the other side of me, but I was thinking, okay, this is really stupid. I had no way out. But in prison, we do have a lot of tools to protect us, the officers, you know. But we have a few weapons on our belt, but when you're locked in a dorm with 100 guys, yeah, there's your best weapon is yourself. That's what I learned in a level 2 anyway. So even though it's level 2, you know, it's still difficult. It's still prison. You know, I thank God I didn't have to work the higher levels. But I learned that my presence really matters. My favorite thing is that I learned how to use my presence without using words. So I could walk in my unit, you know, and just give a look, you know, or, you know, they just knew by my presence what was going on. And I was really proud of that, you know, I could communicate with my guys without using words a lot, you know. And they were pretty respectful for the most part, you know. Usually in level 2 anyway, you give respect, you get it, you know. And so that was pretty cool. So I learned that my presence matters, you know. It really does. When you work in a big group like that, like a dorm of a bunch of people, and I learned how I really can affect the room just by the way I walk in it, and you can too. You affect the room by the way you walk in it. Do you walk in with confidence and a smile? And that doesn't mean I always do it perfect. I've got my own issues. But I'm grateful for that lesson. So time for me to go to sleep. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's prison story. I will do one every Friday for you. And hopefully I'll get better at this storytelling thing. I love you guys. And remember, your presence matters. Your kid's life, your mom's life, your wife's life, your husband's life, and a criminal's life, whoever's life. Your presence matters. Your time matters. Okay. Love you guys. Be present.